Good morning and welcome to our first Hong Kong based Coastal Explores. We are in the delightful little seaside town of Mui Wo on South Lantau Island. Today we're going to be taking a trip around South Lantau to Mui Wo and also to Shek Pik, but first we've got to leave Discovery Bay and get on the local inter-island ferry. Let's go! With over 260 islands, Hong Kong's ferries serve as a crucial transportation link, offering a convenient and efficient mode of travel for both locals and tourists. Particularly for residents in outlying islands, where other transportation options are limited, these ferries are essential for commuting, accessing services and connecting with urban areas. Additionally, inter-island ferries contribute to Hong Kong's tourism industry by providing means to explore these amazingly scenic islands. Walking down the promenade here, very nice day. We're early, we're beating the crowds here, which is the key to anywhere in Hong Kong. Get anywhere early, beat those crowds. And we can see nice beach behind me. In a couple of months' time, that is going to be absolutely full of people. And this is Silver Mine Beach Resort, with a public beach and all the facilities you need, which is what I love about Hong Kong. Now, this place Mui Wo, particularly Silver Mine Beach here, this is quite famous in these parts because the last king of the Song Dynasty, the Southern Song Dynasty, actually died here in 1278. He was fleeing from the Yuan Dynasty that was about to come, fell off a boat, got sick and died, and the next king, or emperor should I say, Zhao Bing, he was enthroned here in Mui Wo in 1278 as a young boy. Only lasted about a year before he was killed as well, and his burial mound is in Shenzhen, just over the border. So here we go, this is Silver Mine Bay, where in 1278 lots of things, historical things, were going on. Here we are right in the centre now, Mui Wo, down by almost like an inlet or a river coming in here. We've got the local government staff cleaning off the paths, ready for the tourists that are bound to come on the next ferry from Central. We've got real old government building here. Classic, what looks like a 1960s government building in these parts. But this place has really changed over the last 10-15 years, I'd say, from a very quiet South Lantau village to quite a gentrified place. Let's have a little look around the boutique shops, coffee houses that you can explore when you're in Mui Wo. We're heading back to the bus station now to catch the #1 bus to Tayo, and we'll get off at Shek Pik, which is about 2/3 of the way across. But before we do, I need to show you something, because I've spotted something up ahead at the ferry pier, and it's not a very loud bus right next to me, but it is an old Colonial Post Box. Now I'm hoping it's one of the older ones, but we'll see when we look at the front. and see what inscription it's got on it. It says ER in the dark, which means Elizabeth. So this is a Queen Elizabeth post box, which means it's after 1952. They're painted green now, but that would have been a red post box back in the day. What an ideal place for it, coming straight off the ferry to post your letters. Now, we've got to find the number 1 bus. There it is, so let's get on. Well, we've made it to Shek Pik Reservoir here on South Lantau, and not the biggest reservoir in Hong Kong, but certainly one of the most vital. Built in the 1960s, this reservoir allowed people of Lantau to have fresh drinking water when there was an influx of immigration to Hong Kong, but also to Lantau Island. Now, this used to be a beautiful valley heading up towards the big Buddha that you might be able to see on the mountain in the background. There used to be 6 villages here, 6 small villages, following the... Do you remember I was telling you about the Southern Song Dynasty's last emperor was born in Mui Wo? Well, a clan that helped him escape, once he died, they actually settled here in the Shek Pik Valley. And until the 1960s, they did live here very peacefully. Back in the day, we would have seen layers of rice fields all the way up here. But in the 1960s, as I said, these families were moved out to another part of Hong Kong, and this was dammed and flooded. Now provides water for Hong Kongers. However, on the other side is something that has been created since the 1980s, and that is one of the high security prisons. So let's take a look at it, but not too closely. Now we're heading down now, but it might be nice to talk about something that you see all over Hong Kong, and that is these gates with this access is for slope management only. Because all along Hong Kong, you can see the sides of the hills are covered in concrete. This was another vital thing for Hong Kong to do back in the day, and was a giant engineering work for them. And this was because we get so much rain here with the typhoons and the rainy season that we had so many landslips, landslides where many people died. At times thousands of people would die. So Hong Kong had to do something with regards to the landslips. So one of the things, and we're going to have a whole episode on the different forms that they take, but one thing was to put concrete over the side, and we can see there are some holes here to let the water out actually when it rains. So slope management happening all over Hong Kong. There are also catchment areas right behind me. It's a bit too hot to go uphill today, but in future episodes I'll show you the water catchment areas that are all around Hong Kong, which basically ferry the water from the hillsides down into the reservoirs like Shek Pik that we've just been to. Cowpats, thousands of them. Now, lots of wild cattle here in South Lantau. So there is wet poop in the area, so there must be some cattle. So let's keep a keen eye as we head down the hill. And as if by magic, it shall appear. Right opposite the prison now, and we can see the water piping system that's coming down from the reservoir, which is just up the hill behind us. So if we just walk up here, never been here before, but we should be able to see some ancient rock carvings. Now a lot of people, when they think Hong Kong, they very much think the British history of Hong Kong, but like anywhere in the world, the history started when really the first humans got there and started interacting with the environment. So here in Hong Kong we have nearly 70,000 years worth of history to talk about in the coming channels. But up here I believe we've got something that's around 3,000 years old. So nowhere near as old as the first humans here in Hong Kong. Right, let's take a look at it. And we'll go back down, because this is why you don't talk into your GoPro whilst you're trying to find something, because I've walked straight past it. And here it is. This rock carving thought to be 3,000 years old. Not quite as old as some of the oldest. 69,000 years old are the oldest ones thought to be here in Hong Kong. And not the clearest of days to see it, but we can see some different geometric patterns if we look really closely. Might be easier for us to look at it here on the sign. So 3,000 years old, but all over Hong Kong we've got some that go back nearly 70,000 years. We've got Shek Pik prison here, main entrance with the China flag flying high, the Hong Kong flag underneath. Now we're here, believe it or not, at the staff car park for something I've been really excited to see for a long time. Earlier in Mui Wo we saw a Elizabeth Regina, Elizabeth II post box. Well, here, believe it or not, we have one of only a few George V post boxes, and here it is, remarkably. We can see the G, R with the V right in the middle. This is my first George V post box here in Hong Kong. And George V, 1910 to 1936 he reigned. He was the grandson of Queen Victoria and the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth. Now quite why this is here, right next to a Tesla, on what I presume was a road that wasn't here when George V was. Presumably it was maybe in one of the 6 villages up there, or on the main road that would go all the way to Tai O, or maybe it was somewhere different in Hong Kong and was brought here. But there we go, a George V green post box, unfortunately, but there we go. So excited. Tell you what, the staff car park here, unbelievable. We've got Teslas, Lexuses, BMW X5s. Tell you what, I think I'm in the wrong business. I think I should become a prison guard here in Hong Kong. That's where the money is, obviously. Good morning to you, Josan. Hey, ho, man. There we go, a bus stop. Let's get on the bus and head over the mountain to North Lantau, to Tung Chung, for the oldest fort here in Hong Kong. getting hotter, folks. Just arrived here in the new town of Tung Chung, I would say, before the Lantau link bridge that came over to here from the new territories. This was an island where very few people live, really. So it really is a sprawling metropolis now of high buildings. We'll see some in a moment. Just dropped in at the old favourite 7-Eleven to get some drinks. And I just wanted to show you this before we head to the fort. It is the Phnom Penh, very famous. I'm sure you will have heard of the cable car here that goes all the way up to the Big Buddha. Great views over the airport, over the whole of the island, and the new bridge to Macau, of course, that has opened in the last few years. We'll take a trip up there one day, but not today. We're going to head off to Tung Chung Fort, 12th century. Here we go. Something the British brought to Hong Kong, the Pelican Crossing and the Felicia Beacon, and then the sign, Tung Chung Fort. We are nearly there, just around the corner. Now this was my first journey out with the GoPro today, and I learned a very important lesson. Make sure the microphone is facing the front where you're talking and not the back. You can see some great juxtaposition of the ancient fort in the background with the tall skyscrapers of modern Tung Chung. Now this fort was built in the 1100s, part of the Southern Song dynasty, to stop smugglers and pirates from stealing salt from the locals. Now above the entranceway it says 1832. This is when the fort was rebuilt, garrisoned by the Chinese. The legendary Chung Po Tsai pirate would have been here at some stage before being defeated by the Portuguese and the Chinese, and later going on to work for the Chinese. The fort was abandoned in 1898 when the British leased the new territories from China for a period of 99 years. However, during World War II, the Imperial Japanese Army took over the fort from 1941 to 1945 before being taken back by the British and the Hong Kong government. There it was used as a police station, later a school. You can see the white building in the middle, very much looks like a village school, and on the left we have a rural committee building. Just cut off there. Ran out of battery, learned something new. How long does your battery last? Not very long when you're outdoor filming all day. Let's come onto the ramparts here. You can see the cannons here. Now sometimes these cannons have actually got a P on, or sometimes like the Portuguese Royal Crest, these look as though they've got Chinese writing on, so these must be Chinese cannons. Do correct me if I'm wrong. And if we head up here, one of these, presumably a guard tower back in the day. See what's in here. A nice little room, much cooler than before outside. And then we can see the extent of the walls. Not an overly big fort here, but certainly enough for the number of people living here in Tung Chung at the time, I'm sure. So there it is, Tung Chung Fort, on the backdrop of the new metropolis that is Tung Chung. And it just remains for me to say thanks for joining me on my first adventure around Hong Kong. This is really one of the most beautiful places to come here in Hong Kong, South Lantau and Tung Chung. So if you're coming to visit Hong Kong, get yourself to Lantau Island, tons of history. We are going to come back here, do more in-depth history of Tung Chung forts and all the forts around Hong Kong as we continue our travels on Coastie Explores.